Hello and welcome. My name is Elizabeth Uga. Before the commencement of the current administration, Nigerians no doubt yearn for change. And barely a month of achieving this desired called change, agitations have continued to mount that the change Nigerians yearn for is not coming their way, as they claim that the desired change is not being felt. Apart from this, Nigerians are worried that several states are owing their workers. The power tussle playing out at both the upper and lower chamber of the National Assembly is also a threat to our nascent democracy. All this and more on today's edition of Searchlight. Join me after this time out. Don't go away. Thank you for staying with us. The program is Searchlight, and I have in the studio a political analyst, Michael Ovienmhada. You're welcome on Searchlight, sir.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Let's start by assessing the current administration. How will you assess?
For an assessment, I think it's a little bit too early to start to do an assessment.
It was 1 month yesterday, right?
Yes, yeah, albeit the populace have been angling for action since the inauguration of Mr. President. And but the president, I believe, is being cautious. He wants to make sure he puts processes in place so that he doesn't make any mistakes. But his caution is being misinterpreted right now.
But let me get you right. Are you saying 1 month is not enough time?
I'm not saying it's not enough time. I'm not saying it's too much time. I'm just saying that I believe people just have different styles. Mr. President, after everything that he's been through, he's been president before, he has run 3 times, and we know what we went through these last 4 years before these elections, and we all know what happened, the groundswell leading to the elections. So I believe he just wants to be careful to make haste slowly, I believe.
So yes, the change is here. So are you feeling the change?
Well, we can't start to feel change like that because it takes time to undo what has not been done for 54 years. The damage that has happened to this country did not happen just in the last 4 years. Structural damage that has been happening for the past 54 years. Institutional damage, cultural damage, and the inability of our leaders, the leaders we have had through the years, to love the country enough to do those things that will endure for generations instead of just thinking of the now. So it's a lot of work that he needs to do, and I pray that he will have the willingness, the ability to get a group together that thinks like him, that wants to work like him, to try to undo some of these things.
But even at that, people still believe we should have a little bit of change. You know, they much talked about change. Are you saying you've not
in 30 days, not in 30 days, not in 30 days.
By your own assessment?
By any reasonable assessment, because where do we want to look at change, for example? Is it in education? So much damage has been done. How do you turn that around in 30 days or even in 1 year?
Do we just wake up and then see?
Industrialization, for example. How do you undo that without electricity? Or is it our road system? Things just are going to take time. What he needs to do now is be in our faces, engage us, either by himself or through his aides. But unfortunately, he has not appointed.
No, we'll get to that.
Yeah, okay.
But the thing is, what I'm trying to the point I'm trying to establish is, We seem to be at a standstill. What is really happening now? What do you think is happening now? Or what should be happening now?
I think a lot is going on in the background. What he needs to come to do now is engage us to tell us, hey, we are working on A, B, C, D, E. I need you guys to be patient with me. That's what he needs to do, engage us and tell us to be patient. But I think a lot is going on in the background.
So what do you think is responsible for the non-ministerial appointment up till now?
Historically, no president has appointed ministers within 30 days in office. It takes time for these processes to happen. You first have to negotiate within the party to get all the right people from the right ethnic group with the right qualification from the right geographical area. And then you send that list to the SS, they vet it before you now send it to the National Assembly for them to now do their own work. These things take time, and as you know, we are here to resolve the issues in the National Assembly. It is unfortunate that the party could not get its act together quickly enough before they brought their fight to the public.
Yeah, but you said no government, does this within a couple of 1 month. But I don't think I agree with that, because 1 month is a lot of time, and people are actually speculating that it's because we don't have ministerial appointments. That's why the country is experiencing this, would I call it a bus stop or whatever?
It's a mindset that we have about ministers, really. Ministers are political appointees. The ministries function with or without ministers. We have permanent secretaries. We have director generals, we have directors, executive directors in all these ministries. They do the day-to-day work. Ministers are just, as a matter of fact, figureheads. They're just political appointees. They don't really make much of a difference, as a matter of fact. It's just our mindset that, oh, we need ministers. Why do we have that mindset? Because we want to see who is it that's going to be minister from our part of the country. That's why everybody is...
Quotas.
Yes, is eager for a minister. Otherwise, we can run without them, really.
Okay, now, you talked about National Assembly. What's your take on the development in that sector?
Yeah, that's a very unfortunate development, if I may say. You see, many tendencies came together to put the APC together, to put a winning coalition together. Now, the groundswell of opinion is that a certain tendency within the party has collected the presidency. I mean, they brought the presidency, they brought the vice presidency, they brought the chairman of the party. Now, that same tendency, according to the groundswell of opinion, also wanted the speakership of the House, to which nobody objected. Then they now wanted to dictate what would happen in the Senate too. I remember at that time that Chief Bisi Akonde came out to say there was no zoning in the APC constitution. That's what started this whole furor. People have forgotten. He said this, I believe, was on May 24th. He said no zoning in APC constitution. Zoning is not part of APC constitution, that they're going to use merit to choose the Senate president. Okay. Having said that, they now went on to say that they wanted to get the Senate president from a particular area, and this was the person they wanted. That was a contradiction of sorts. Okay. But another group within the party thought that, you know what, you can't eat your cake and have it. That's number one. Number two, you've collected A, B, C, D, E. How about us? We all came together to form this new party and to form this coalition that brought about this new government. So are we to wait to collect crumbs? So that's at the root of this whole fight right now. And I wish they could have had an open process. Now, I understand from news reports that the Saraki group was angling for a secret ballot. They were ready to subject themselves to a secret balloting situation. And if you recall, Abubakar Atiku himself has been asking for internal democracy within the party, that is going to be the doing or the undoing of the party, that they should strive to promote internal democracy. Now, if they had heeded this warning, then this crisis that's happening now and bedeviling the Senate and therefore causing a stalemate in the country would not have happened. If they had done the secret balloting, Saraki would have subjected himself to it and accepted the outcome. If you recall, before the nomination for the presidential candidate for the APC, they asked for a consensus, and nobody agreed for a consensus. Atiku did not agree, Kwakwanso did not agree. So they all went to the field at the Teslim Balogun Stadium, okay? And they did this secret balloting. I mean, it held the nation spellbound for 2 days.
From what you're saying, yes. Secret ballot would have...
it would have doused this tension. It would have doused this tension, because then everybody would have been sure that the process had been fair and just and equitable. And it's easy for you to accept a fair and just outcome.
But don't you see personal interest playing out in all this?
But of course, politics has always been about personal interest for the most part. It's only in certain advanced countries that we see that historically the politicians have thought more about the nation than themselves. But in this country as it is right now, it's about me, my village, my town, my family. And very, very little about Nigeria. I just wish that people would come up in this country into politics, into the political arena, who will put country first before their pockets, before their villages, before their towns, before their friends.
Okay, now let's look at the Saraki as a person and the deputy. So do you see them as people who can take the National Assembly to where we want?
Oh yes, Saraki is an able man, well educated with a great pedigree, and he's run a bank before, he's run a state before successfully. We all heard about the agricultural program he ran in his state, and it's still ongoing. And he's been in the Senate also, so he has experience. He's a very capable man. I don't see anything wrong with his ability to move the Senate forward and move the nation forward from that position. And his deputy too is a very experienced man, Ekweremadu. He's been there for a long time. I think he has an unbroken record in the House. He's been there since 1999. So these are able men. The thing is this, we need to transcend politics now and start to look at the nation as our constituency, not just our political parties from which we emerge. Because you see, once a person is elected, the people have elected that person. The party disappears into the background. This is the mindset we need our politicians to begin to evolve. That it is the nation now, no longer about the party. Yeah.
But you see, there's this other hidden suspicion. People believe that, or people are rather speculating that there's every tendency that Saraki may likely go back to PDP. You know, that they would have expected that position to be occupied by, you know, somebody who has been an APC, you know, right from...
You see, that's the problem. That's the problem. We had ACN. We had CPC, we had AMPP, then we had the Saraki group, we had the 5 governors group, okay? So there's no such thing as a core APC person. There's core ACN, there's core CPC, there's core AMPP.
So where do you place those who come from PDP to join?
Everybody is an equal joiner. There's no core anything there. That's the thinking that needs to change. If they all came together, contributed resources, contributed time, contributed strategy to win, everybody is called APC.
So they should be seen as one.
Absolutely. You see, that's the job of leadership. See, the leadership right now lies in the hands of just one man, President Muhammadu Buhari, whom we have elected. There's a chairman of the party, but we all know that in the last 16 years, the chairman of the party, party chairmen in this country have been relegated under our system. The governors hijacked the chairmanship in the states, and the president, up till now, I don't know what this president is going to do in that regard. The president hijacked the chairmanship at the national level, the headship of the party at the national level. So the chairman can only do anything he needs to do with the concurrence of the president. In this particular case now, Chief Oyegun, for example, was brought in by a tendency within the party, all right? Now we have, but now we have a president. So Chief Oyegun cannot offend the tendency that brought him in. Yet he cannot offend the president, because the president is the president. And the president is not supposed to be afraid of anybody. But again, the chairman cannot do anything without the concurrence of the president. They must consult at all times continually before the chairman can come out to say, this is what we want to do, this is how I want to do it. He must have the president's concurrence on all issues.
Well, we'll take a short break now. Searchlight continues after this time. Don't go away.
88M, Station for Excellence.
Thank you for staying with us. The program is Searchlight, and I have in the studio a political analyst, Mr. Michael Ovienmhada. We are looking at the trending issues in our nation. Now let's move to the oil sector. The president has done what, well, many presidents wouldn't have done, dissolution of NNPC board. What do you think about this?
You see, these are just tiny steps. What we want to hear is a grand policy statement about the oil sector. The president needs to articulate a grand policy and come out to tell the nation, this is the direction I want to take us.
But he has been applauded for dissolving the board, because they believe this is something like a cabal where, you know, some president wouldn't have been able to dissolve. I don't know about that.
No, that's a routine thing that happens. Even if it wasn't dissolved at this time, their tenure will expire and they'll all go home. It's not a big thing that has happened that the board was dissolved. No. What we want here is a grand policy statement telling us this is where we are going to go in the oil industry. Those are the things we want to hear, not dissolution of the board. Those are... You
just said it that it's starting gradually. You have just said that it's in tiny drops. But what's the impact of that on the petroleum sector?
Well, I don't think much. I don't think much, because the oil sector is like an engine that's been running for very many years. Having a board does not really change many things. I mean, dissolving a board does not really change many things. The only thing that can bring about change is policy tweaking. Where do we want to go? Where do we want to take this industry moving forward? Is it going to be a continue to be a government-run corporation as it is now, or do we want to make it quasi, private government, and to change the direction? The dissolution is okay, but it's not much to be applauded.
What do you think about the fuel subsidy? The fuel subsidy now. Do you think the removal of fuel subsidy will, impact positively on this great nation of ours?
I think it's something that needs to go. But before that, there was something we've had since 1975 called the Petroleum Equalization Fund Management Board. Now, that's the bigger fraud that's been going on in this country, and very wrong.
Does that still exist?
Yes, very wrong policy in my opinion. That needs to go along with the current subsidy, so that we can have a transparent and market-run oil industry. Let me explain.
Can you shed more light on the one you mentioned right now? Because
the Petroleum Equalization Fund is a policy that was initiated in 1975. Basically, this is what it says. Petroleum products should be sold for the same price across the country, from Sokoto to Rivers, from Ogun State to Akwa Ibom. Should be sold for the same price. So what the federal government does is this, through the NNPC and through the Petroleum Equalization Fund, they ask a tanker driver, a marketer, to carry oil products, say from Port Harcourt to Maiduguri, and the federal government pays the transportation cost to enable the petrol station owner in Maiduguri sell at the same 87 naira at which the product is sold in Rivers State or in Lagos State or in Benin. Wrong policy. See, this is what happens. When you take petroleum product to my petrol station in Maiduguri, and I have a border just right across a mile away from me, why should I sell petrol for 87 naira when I can sell it for 400 naira across the border? Even if I don't go and sell it myself as a station owner, this is what will happen. John will come, Musa will come, Abdullahi will come, with 200 jerry cans, buy all my petrol and ferry it across the border and sell it for 400 naira. This is simple economics. I lived in Detroit, Michigan, across the border from Windsor, Ontario. Now, in Canada, taxes are much higher on petroleum products than in the US. People used to drive from Windsor through the tunnel to Detroit to come and fill their tanks and go back to Canada. Simple economics. If you can do it, why not do it? So that needs to change. That law needs to change so that petroleum products can be market-driven. Once it is market-driven, the fraud leaves the industry completely. The corruption leaves completely. Just like telecoms. For many years, you know how we used to suffer to get phones in this country. My father applied for telephone for 40 years, did not get one before he died. If he comes to Nigeria now, if he wakes up now, he will not believe that he's in Nigeria, where everybody now has a phone. Corruption has left the telecoms industry because of total deregulation.
Yes. So you're 100% for deregulation.
Total deregulation in the oil industry is the solution to corruption in the oil industry.
Well, I think without even being told, we're already experiencing that, because this morning I got fuel at 100 naira per liter. And you notice some filling stations are not selling.
Yeah, yeah.
So what do you think is wrong, is the problem there?
It's the hiccups in the system, you see.
And you have a lot of tankers queuing there at the depot trying to...
Okay. You see, I don't blame the petrol station owners. I actually blame the president, and I'll tell you why, okay? Immediately, he was announced as president-elect on March the 28th, when the ballot was won. This is what I would have done as president. Sit down with Jonathan, sit down with the marketers. Guys, you all know my views on the oil industry. I don't believe in this subsidy. I believe it's a fraud. However, there are existing commitments, and I'm ready to meet these existing commitments in the interest of the people. So
does our constitution empower him to do so if he were to call Jonathan to...
Oh yes, once he was president-elect, he was president-elect. He needed to start to think forward and be proactive. A simple meeting with President Jonathan would not need a statutory act for them to meet. Just two gentlemen meeting in the corridors of power to solve problems common to you and I. So if they had had that meeting of the minds, okay, the marketers would have been there, and then the bankers would have had the confidence to continue to lend money to the marketers to do business. Because it's a lack of confidence that's causing all of this situation in which we find ourselves right now.
Now, very quickly, we have other things we need to talk about. We don't have so much time. Let's look at the states that are owing workers' salary.
Yeah.
What do you think is responsible for this? Some people have said is political campaigns and all that. I mean, should this be the case?
No, not at all. You see, our states have been mismanaged by the emperors that run the states. They call themselves governors. Now, governors should see themselves as chief executives of a corporation. A corporation of, for example, in my state, Edo State, 3.2 million people. And for example, again, in my state, 21,000 square kilometers of land. That's your business. That's your corporation right there. So he should now look at his corporation. He should look at his population. I need to know how many people are in the unemployment lines in my state. Come and fill out forms. Tell me what kind of jobs you're looking for. Tell me what qualifications you have. I need to know how many widows there are in this state who need help, who need empowerment. I need to know how many children need to go to school in this state. Drop your data, put your data together, and run it like a corporation. You have what you call your advantages. In my state, Edo State, for example, there's hardly anything we cannot grow, from cocoa to rubber to timber to rice, to sugarcane. For example, Nigeria consumes about $4 billion worth of sugar every year. Why can't Edo State be the sugar state of Nigeria by cultivating sugarcane and empowering people to build sugar processing plants in the state?
But are you satisfied with the federal government intervention on this?
The federal government should leave them alone.
To carry their load?
Yes, the federal government should leave them alone, because when it is convenient, they shout state autonomy. Oh, we want to run our states by ourselves. For example, when the federal government under Jonathan was trying to start the Sovereign Wealth Fund, I was at a conference in Asaba at the time when I heard Governor Amechi saying that the federal government should leave their money for them. They know how to spend their own money. So if you want that independence, carry your load, good or bad.
Yeah, security now, before we go. The military barracks relocation to Maiduguri, in search of Chibok girls, most importantly. How do you see this arrangement?
I think it was long overdue. That was something that President Goodluck Jonathan should have done on the very first week of this crisis.
And do you think that can end Boko Haram?
It's a sign that we're in business to do business. Okay. It's a sign that it is not business as usual. It's a sign that we're taking the fight to you. Symbols are very, very important in governance. Yes, that's what it's all about. It does not put more boots on the ground, but I hope it will end up putting more boots on the ground, because we need the numbers to win this war. We need to be able to overwhelm the enemy with the numbers.
And there's also this outcry of transferring detained,
to Anambra State. Yeah, I think the cry against that is legitimate, because we know that we've had prison breaks. In fact, the whole Boko Haram crisis escalated through a prison break in Borno State. Remember when over 800 prisoners or detainees were freed by Yusuf, the original founder, and then it ended up in his killing.
So in other words, they're fighting a good cause.
No, it's a good cause. Let's contain the crisis in one area. That's what they are saying. Okay. Don't bring it to our doorstep, because there's going to be a prison break sooner or later, Yeah, because our prisons are not well secure.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Michael Ovienmhada, for coming on Searchlight. And for you out there, this is how far we can take on today's edition of Searchlight until we come your way next week. Bye for now.